We're joined today by wrestler Julia Hart. She's part of AEW as they return to the Target Center in Minneapolis on November 29th for AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage. Julia, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course.
Well, AEW is returning to Target Center here in Minneapolis coming up on Wednesday. AEW Dynamite and Rampage. And, of course, so you're from around these parts. Are you excited to be making your way back to Minnesota here?
Yes, I always love being in Minnesota. It's my favorite state still.
Well, do you know who you'll be working with here coming up on Wednesday?
I have no idea. I wish I could tell you, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of like a to-be-announced sort of thing. Do you know typically, like, until you show up to the building, maybe you're not sure? Or how does that usually work for you?
Yeah, I think you kind of just depends on the week. Sometimes you know a week ahead of time. Sometimes you get there and then you find out. Sometimes you find out an hour before the doors open. It's kind of just depends on the day, honestly. So I guess I have a feeling I won't find out till tomorrow when I'm at the building. So,
well, Julia, can you talk a bit about getting started in wrestling and training here in Minnesota? Obviously, we have quite the pedigree of wrestlers from around here.
Yeah, so I trained at Ken Anderson's school. The first time I went there, I was about 15 years old for a consultation, just to see, so my parents could see it. And then my parents were like, you have to wait till you can drive, because it's like an hour away from our house. So when I turned 16, then I started training with Ken, and then I was just training with him up until the pandemic, and then I went down to Atlanta, so...
Well, is there something in particular, or what is it that made you decide to get into wrestling? I mean, a lot of people around your age were fans, obviously, but most of them didn't start out as young as you did.
Yeah, I thought, I was like, maybe if I get a head start when I'm younger, and so then I could get on TV faster. That was kind of my thought process. I was like, if I just start training sooner rather than later, because I was just so eager, and I knew I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to go to college, and I was like, I really want to be a wrestler. So, yeah, I guess 15, 16, I was very eager.
I remember seeing you wrestling with MAW, Midwest All-Star Wrestling, only a few years ago, and now you're the TBS champion. I mean, that's been quite a whirlwind for you just the last couple of years here. Yeah,
really. Yeah, I had my singles debut at MAW, which is crazy.
I know you were involved in cheerleading at a pretty high caliber level. Did that kind of help you maybe make the transition into wrestling a little easier? Do you see that as kind of the same sort of, I guess, as far as high caliber athletics goes? Yeah,
definitely. I think cheerleading also made me comfortable in front of crowds. I've never second-guessed myself in front of a crowd. I always feel really at home being in front of people, and I can take on that pressure of being the center of attention, which is okay for me, which some people might be scared of, but for me it's okay. And then also too, I think cheerleading really taught me how to be a hard worker and to just keep pursuing your goals. So,
and of course you took on the cheerleader persona early on in your career, and now you're working with Malachi Black. I mean, that's definitely a 180 from where you started out.
Yeah, definitely. I think I did the cheerleader just because it was easy, and I had been in cheerleading for 6 years, so I was like, it'll just be easy. But it was actually really hard for me to translate cheerleading into wrestling because they're just two different things, and it was like hitting heads for me, character-wise. So being with the Malachi Black and Brody King and Buddy Matthews, it really just helped me develop a wrestler side instead of trying so hard to be a cheerleader.
Well, and of course, it's great for your character, but as you mentioned, I'm sure behind the scenes, working with guys like that, and Malachi Black in particular, that's got to be kind of like going to college. I know you mentioned you didn't want to go to traditional college, but this is kind of probably the next best thing for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would say Cody Rhodes and QT helping me at the Nightmare Factory, and then going with House of Black Guys. This is definitely my college. I'm learning so much from everybody that's ever trained me. So,
and again, AEW is coming to Target Center in Minneapolis coming up Wednesday. AEW Dynamite and Rampage. Is this the first time you've worked at the Target Center?
No, actually, I've been twice. The first time I was with the Blondes, I was just ringside. I think the Blondes had a match on Dark Elevation or something. And then the second time I had another dark match against, her name's, I think, Free Range Kara. She's on the Indies in Minnesota, and I wrestled her. So that was really cool. So I have gotten to wrestle there, but not televised yet, or being the TBS champion, which is crazy. So hopefully I get to wrestle or do something tomorrow.
Excellent. Yeah, coming in as the champion now, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fans in the audience and hopefully some family members. That'll be a great homecoming for you.
Yeah, a lot of them. The whole town of Bloomington is going pretty much, so yeah.
Well, I know you've been with AEW just a couple of years here, but is there somebody maybe you're hoping to work with maybe in the next year that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Literally anybody, to be honest. I would just love to work anyone I haven't worked with yet. There's a lot of people still injured, like Jamie Hayter or Thunder Rosa or Serena Deeb. I would love to work with one day. I'd also love to work Tony Storm one day too. So
it does seem like with all the different backgrounds and all the different talent you've got there that have come from different places, you really kind of have to have your head on a swivel, I guess you could say, as far as the different styles, and you're really kind of jumping into the deep end.
Yeah, really.
Well, again, Julia, it's been great speaking with you. I wanted to ask you, we usually ask the wrestlers this, if you could wrestle anyone maybe from a different era, kind of like a dream match, is there somebody maybe you'd point to, somebody you'd wish you could had a match with?
I would say maybe AJ Lee. She's always been my favorite wrestler. And then Natalia, too. I think two Hart girls would be a really fun match.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question that maybe one of those matches could happen down the road. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Julia, I'm looking forward to seeing you here coming up on Wednesday, and it's always great to see the local wrestlers make it on the big stage. So, again, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And again, that was Julia Hart. She'll be with AEW as they return to Minneapolis at the Target Center on November 29th for AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage.